Hello cadets, this is Mr. Storm, and in this video we're going to talk about what is computer programming. You may have heard these terms before, but it may not be explicitly clear what computer programming is. So we're going to dispel some of the myths and we're going to talk about exactly what computer programming is so that when you start working on the content for this course, you're completely up to speed. So what is computer programming? Well, computer programming is not this, right? This is what people usually think of when they think computer programming. I mean, when you tell your friends or your parents, hey, I'm taking a programming class, they might think, oh, you're going to do all that ones and zeros stuff, right? That's not what programming is, okay? Ones and zeros are binary, and you may have heard that computers only understand ones and zeros. Well, let's talk about what that means, because it's a bit of a misconception, but let's talk about it. So here's what we mean by ones and zeros, right? Computers understand instructions electronically, and so and through electricity. So think about this. Think about a switch, an electronic switch that is either on or off, like a light switch, right? Now, if you turn the switch on, and then you leave it on for an extended period of time, for let's say 5 seconds, then that could be 5 ones or on signals. But if you leave the switch off for 5 seconds, that could be 5 zeros, right? The condition of the switch, either on or off, and the amount of time that that switch is on or off creates information. It creates a string of zeros and ones, right? 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, right? And so that is what we mean by computers understand zeros and ones, right? A computer processing chip, or a CPU, is made up of trillions of these little switches, these electronic switches called transistors that can either be on or off. And the on and off configuration of all of those makes up the ones and zeros, the binary signals that our computer can understand. Now, by the way, this is why the power button, right? The power button symbol is a 1 with a 0 around it. And that means on or off, because it's a binary state system, right? Something could be either on or off. And so it's 1 or 0. Okay, so that's not what we're doing, though. We're not actually typing in a bunch of zeros and ones into a computer to make it do stuff, okay? So yeah, that's what I mean by the string of zeros and ones come into the CPU, and then some computer magic happens inside the CPU, and it processes those zeros and ones, and then out comes a new string of information. But again, we're not going to be worried about that. We're not going to be doing that. I'm not even going to teach you how to do like binary conversion and all that stuff in this class. What we're going to be doing is something that looks more like this, okay? Now, this may still look scary. It may be a bit intimidating, but it's a lot better than typing zeros and ones, right? What we're going to be doing is writing these instructions into a computer so that the computer can understand what we want it to do. Now, notice that this is all English, right? I mean, it may not look like English, but it's written in English. There are certain keywords that maybe you can pick out, like public or if or object or new. These are words you understand, just maybe not in this context. So you're not going to have to learn a completely new language in order to do this project or to learn this material. You just have to be able to understand English. And then what we need to do is learn how to create the instructions, organize the instructions in a way so the computer does what we want it to do. It's a lot easier than it may seem right now, and you'll find, I think, within the first couple of weeks, you'll start getting it, and you'll realize exactly what it is we're doing. So there are 4 steps you need to undertake to begin programming in any programming language. So the first step we need to do is we need to pick a computer programming language. Okay, now languages are essentially just different ways of writing code, ways of writing instructions into the computer, and depending on the language we choose, we can do certain things with that language. Some languages are better than others, and so don't worry, I will pick the programming language we learn in this class. It will be up to me, so you don't have to worry about finding a language to learn. The second step is learning the syntax, which is what we're going to be doing this entire class. The whole class is going to be essentially learning the syntax of the specific programming language we choose. And so you're going to learn how to write the instructions, and you are going to write the instructions and make the computer do cool things. And then steps 3 and 4 are to install an SDK and an IDE. The SDK is a software development kit. The IDE is integrated development kit. We are going to talk about those in another video, so don't be worried about that right now. So step 1, picking the language. So here are some examples of programming languages I've put here on the screen for you. There's Python, JavaScript, and C++. Notice they look roughly the same, and you might even be able to see some similar keywords if you're looking at this for any, a couple seconds longer than I'm probably going to give you. But they do different things, and their instructions are written in different ways. That's what I mean by syntax. But it's important for us to pick the right programming language for the projects we want to complete. So, for example, the language we are going to use is a language called C#. And C# is a Windows programming language that allows us to write commands into the Windows console, which we'll talk about later. So, we are going to learn the syntax of C#, and just learning the basic syntax is going to be the first half of this course. In the second half, in the second term, we're going to be learning more advanced control over the C# language. We're going to learn a little bit of object-oriented programming and how to, make more sophisticated, more advanced programs. But for the first half of this class, we're just going to be learning how to make C# do some stuff that we want it to do. And this is an example of what C# looks like. Again, hopefully it's not too, obviously I don't want you you don't need to know what any of this stuff means, but hopefully it doesn't seem too intimidating. And we're going to start off very, very easy, very simple. So do not freak out. Don't go crazy and say, I don't know how to do any of that. I'm done. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. So we're going to learn together. Okay. So as I said before, the software development kit and the integrated development kit, we're going to talk about that in a future video, but essentially very quickly what these mean is, so let's talk about IDE first. So the IDE, the integrated development environment, this is a piece of software that allows you to type in your code and hit run, and it will compile that code, look for errors in that code, and then spit out your final project. It's essentially the software that you use to make that happen. Much like if you're using Adobe Photoshop, Photoshop is the software, and then you make your you do your thing, you cut out people out of a picture, and you recolor it and whatever, and then you spit out a final product, right? The IDE is the software that allows us to write computer code and make new computer programs. The SDK, the software development kit, is a package that you need to install into the IDE that is language specific, right? And remember, there are hundreds of computer programming languages out there. And so our IDE needs to be able to write in that language. And so this is, like let's say I'm, watching a movie, and it's an Italian movie, and it's only in Italian. I don't understand Italian. So in order to watch that movie properly and be able to understand it, I will need to install a language pack for English so that I can hear or see I can hear that movie dubbed over in English or see the subtitles at the bottom. This is kind of the same thing. A software development kit lets your IDE understand the language you're using. Okay, again, we're going to talk about that in more depth in a future video. All right, so essentially everything that you use on a computer, all the games you play, the word processing programs you use, Photoshop, even the stuff you interact with online, like Netflix or Hulu or Facebook or Instagram, all of these were created with computer programming. Now, they were created using different programming languages, but every application you use on a computer was developed by someone writing code into an IDE and then spitting out a result. And so we are going to be making computer programs in this class, Now, none of our programs are going to be as advanced as these examples here. They're going to be text-based programs that let us interact with a computer on a very basic level. But by learning these steps, these skills, these very basic things that we're going to be learning in this class, this will help you build the foundation so that you can eventually make some really cool stuff like video games or the next great phone app. So hopefully this video helped you understand what computer programming is at a basic level. And as we go through the course, you're going to learn more, and it's going to become more and more clear what programming essentially is. So if you have any questions, please let me know. You can always send me an email, or you can just see me in class. Okay, that's it. See you later. Peace.